This is you.
Cold mud presses against your cheek while artillery tears the sky apart above you.
The earth shakes with each explosion, sending vibrations through your ribs like the heartbeat of a dying giant.
Smoke burns your lungs.
The air smells like wet soil.
Gunpowder, and something darker, burnt metal, and blood mixing into a scent you will never forget. Your fingers dig into the frozen ground as machine gun fire rips across the shattered trees ahead. Bullets snap through branches like angry insects.
You don't move.
Because moving right now would mean dying.
Your squad is gone.
10 minutes ago, there were 6 of you crawling through this forest. Boots sinking into sludge. Rifles raised, whispering into radios that crackled with static and distant screams. Now the forest is quiet, except for the war itself. Explosions. Shouts in a language that is not yours. Boots crunching through snow somewhere too close for comfort.
You are alone behind enemy lines.
And the worst part.
You know this mission was never supposed to succeed. The war started 3 years ago, but it feels like it has existed forever. Cities burned until their skylines looked like broken teeth. Entire villages disappeared under artillery fire. The maps and command tents changed every week. Lines shifting across borders drawn by men who never held rifles themselves. You were just a mechanic before the war. Engines, tools, grease under your fingernails. You used to fix delivery trucks in a tiny industrial garage outside your hometown.
The smell of diesel fuel was your whole world back then.
Simple problems, simple solutions.
If a machine broke,
You opened it, found the damaged part, replaced it. War doesn't work like that. War breaks everything at once. You remember the day soldiers knocked on your door with conscription papers?
Your mother cried quietly at the kitchen table while you packed your bag?
Your little brother kept asking when you'd come home.
You told him soon?
You told him the war would end quickly.
You were lying to both of you. Training camp stripped away the old version of you piece by piece. Weeks of freezing marches.
Rifle drills until your shoulders bled through your uniform.
Nights where exhaustion crushed you so hard you fell asleep standing. They broke everyone down until fear became routine. That's where you met the men who became your squad. Hammer, a former construction worker built like a tank. Huge shoulders, quiet voice. When he fired a machine gun, it sounded like thunder rolling across mountains. But when the shooting stopped, he talked about his daughters like they were the only reason the world still made sense. Then there was Ghost, skinny sniper with pale eyes and steady hands that never shook. Even when shells landed nearby, nobody knew much about his life before the war. He smoked constantly and spoke even less. But when he aimed his rifle, people died before they even realized someone was hunting them. And finally, Doc, the medic. Not a real doctor, just a medical student who never finished school before the war dragged him into the mud with the rest of you. Nervous laugh. Always carrying too many bandages in his pack. He patched people up while whispering the same phrase every time someone bled out in his arms. Stay with me. Stay with me. Your squad survived battles that should have killed you all. Urban firefights where bullets ricocheted off concrete like fireworks. Night raids through ruined factories where shadows moved in ways that made your brain scream danger before your eyes understood why. Long patrols through frozen forests where silence itself felt like a threat waiting to snap. Brotherhood grew fast in those moments. Faster than friendships back home ever did.
You shared cigarettes in muddy trenches.
Passed around cheap whiskey stolen from abandoned houses. Laughed at stupid jokes because laughter was the only way to stop thinking about how close death always stood beside you.
You stopped being mechanics.
Students, fathers, you became soldiers, but the mission that brought you here tonight,
That was different.
Command called it a recon infiltration. Slip behind enemy lines. Confirm the location of an artillery battery. Mark the coordinates for an airstrike. Simple.
quiet.
In and out before sunrise.
Except nothing about war is ever simple. The moment your squad crossed the frozen river marking the front line, the forest felt wrong. Too quiet. Too still. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Ghost noticed first. He stopped walking and raised a fist in the air. Ambush. The first shot cracked through the trees a second later. Hammer returned fire instantly. His machine gun roaring while bullets shredded branches around you. You dove behind a fallen log as enemy soldiers appeared between the trees like shadows coming alive.
The firefight lasted maybe 30 seconds.
Maybe 2 minutes. Time collapses during combat. All you remember clearly is the sound of Doc screaming your name. And the explosion. Mortar rounds slammed into the forest floor, throwing dirt and splinters everywhere. Your ears rang so hard the world turned silent for a moment. When the smoke cleared,
Your squad was gone.
Hammer's machine gun lay half buried in mud. Ghost's rifle rested against a tree where he had been seconds earlier. Doc's medical pack spilled open beside a crater filled with frozen water turning red. You ran. Instinct took over. Survival louder than loyalty. You sprinted deeper into enemy territory while gunfire chased you through the forest. Now you're here, face pressed into freezing mud, listening to enemy patrols moving closer through the trees. Boots crunching in snow. Voices whispering in a language you barely understand.
Your rifle lies in your hands?
Cold metal biting into your palms.
You check the magazine quietly?
8 rounds left. Not enough for a real fight, but enough to take a few of them with you if it comes to that.
Your radio crackles suddenly.
Static at first. Then a voice. Doc's voice.
Weak.
Strained. If anyone's alive. Respond. Your heart slams against your ribs because Doc was supposed to be dead. And if Hez still alive somewhere in this forest, then you're not the only soldier trapped behind enemy lines tonight. Your fingers tighten around the radio until the plastic creaks. For a moment, you just stare at the dark trees ahead, breathing slowly through the cold mud, trying to decide whether that voice was real or just your mind cracking under pressure. Then the radio crackles again, faint and broken but unmistakable. Anyone, please, respond. Your heart pounds so hard it feels like the enemy soldiers patrolling 50 meters away must be able to hear it through the ground. You press the transmit button with the lightest touch possible and whisper into the microphone. Doc, this is you. Say your position. Static swallows the line for a few seconds that stretch into eternity before his voice returns. Weaker now, the sound of someone fighting to stay conscious. North Ridge.
Old bunker.
Legs fucked.
I can't move.
Your jaw tightens because you know exactly where that bunker is. The ruined concrete artillery shelter your squad passed 20 minutes before the ambush, it sits right in the middle of enemy territory like a rotten tooth sticking out of the forest floor. If Doc crawled there after the explosion, he's sitting inside a trap. Patrol routes cut through that ridge every hour. If the enemy finds him first, they won't waste time with prisoners. Not after the kind of war this has become. Boots crunch through snow nearby, pulling you back into the present. 2 enemy soldiers walk along the path 30 meters ahead, rifles slung casually across their chests. Their breath floats in pale clouds under the moonlight. They're talking quietly, laughing about something you can't understand. The smell of cheap cigarettes drifts through the cold air. Your finger slides onto the trigger of your rifle. 8 rounds, 2 targets. You could drop them before they even realize someone is hunting them. But the gunshots would echo through the forest and bring half their platoon down on your head within minutes.
So you stay still.
Heart hammering, letting them pass through the darkness while snow settles on your helmet and melts slowly against your skin. When the patrol disappears between the trees, you move.
Slowly.
Carefully. You crawl through the mud like a wounded animal, dragging your body across frozen leaves and broken branches. Keeping low enough that the night swallows you completely, every step toward the ridge feels heavier than the last because you know exactly what rescuing Doc means.
No backup.
No extraction. Just 2 soldiers bleeding somewhere behind enemy lines, with nothing but luck and stubbornness keeping them alive. As you move through the forest, memories of your squad creep into your head uninvited. Hammer laughing around a fire while warming canned rations in his helmet. Ghost sitting quietly on a tree stump cleaning his sniper rifle with surgical precision. Doc muttering medical terms under his breath while stitching a wound closed during your last firefight. Those men became something closer than friends over the last year.
War does that?
It strips away the bullshit of normal life until all that's left is trust, built in moments where survival depends on the person next to you pulling the trigger at the right time. And now most of them are dead. You push forward through the trees anyway. The forest grows darker as the ground slopes upward toward the ridge. Wind whispers through shattered branches above your head, while distant artillery thunders across the horizon, like a storm that never moves. Your boots sink quietly into the snow as you approach the ruined bunker. The concrete structure rises from the hillside like the skeleton of some dead animal. Cracked walls leaning at broken angles where previous shelling punched holes straight through the roof. You stop 20 meters away and listen. Nothing. No voices. No footsteps. Just the wind sliding across broken stone. You creep closer. Rifle raised, senses sharp enough that every creak of the forest feels like a warning. When you finally reach the bunker entrance, You crouch beside the shattered doorway and peer inside. Moonlight spills through a hole in the ceiling, illuminating a shape lying against the far wall. Doc. His uniform is soaked dark around the thigh, where shrapnel tore through muscle. Blood stains the concrete floor beneath him, thick and black in the dim light. His face looks pale, lips cracked, breath coming in shallow gasps. But his eyes snap open when he sees you standing in the doorway. Relief floods across his face like sunlight breaking through clouds.
You're alive.
He whispers. Barely. You answer quietly. Kneeling beside him, the metallic smell of blood hits your nose instantly. You've smelled it enough times now to recognize how bad things are without even looking closely. The wound in his leg isn't just bleeding, it's shredded. Mortar shrapnel tore straight through bone. Doc lets out a weak laugh that turns into a cough. Guess my bedside manner saved me.
You pull bandages from his torn medical pack and start working automatically,
Tightening a tourniquet above the wound the way he taught you months ago during training.
Your hands move fast.
Precise. Even though inside, you know the truth? This injury isn't something you can fix in a ruined bunker with half-frozen bandages. Without surgery, he won't survive the night. Doc watches your face carefully as you work.
He knows it too.
You hear the planes earlier? He asks quietly. You shake your head. He gestures weakly toward the ridge behind the bunker. Artillery battery, hidden just beyond the trees. That's what the ambush was protecting.
Your stomach twists.
Because that means the original mission wasn't a failure after all. The enemy artillery you were supposed to locate is right here. If command knew the coordinates of this battery, airstrikes could wipe out the entire position before sunrise. Dozens of guns, hundreds of enemy soldiers. The kind of strategic target that could shift the entire front line. Doc reaches into his vest with trembling fingers and pulls out a small signal beacon. The device glows faintly red in the darkness. Ghost gave me this before the ambush, he says quietly. If we found the artillery,
We mark it?
your heart pounds again, because now the choice in front of you is brutal and simple. Stay here with Doc and try to carry him through enemy territory.
Both of you likely dying before dawn.
Or climb the ridge, plant the beacon, and guide an airstrike that will erase the enemy artillery, while leaving Doc alone in this bunker to bleed out. Doc studies your face and understands instantly.
War's a machine.
He murmurs weakly. Remember what you said back when we first met? Machines need parts to break before they stop. Your hands freeze on the bandages. He grips your sleeve with surprising strength.
Go finish the mission.
Outside the bunker, the wind howls through the forest while distant artillery flashes light up the horizon.
Your rifle rests beside you.
The signal beacon glows quietly in Doc's shaking hand. And somewhere beyond that ridge, the artillery battery waits. Your eyes lock on the beacon glowing faint red in Doc's trembling hand. The bunker smells like wet concrete, blood, and burned metal drifting from the distant artillery strikes across the valley. For a moment, the entire war seems to shrink down into this one ruined room.
This one decision sitting between your hands?
Doc studies your face carefully.
The way medics do when they already know the diagnosis but still hope the patient might survive. His voice comes out quieter now.
Rough and tired.
If you stay here, we both die. You don't answer. Your mind drifts back to a night months earlier when your squad sat around a fire behind the front lines. Hammer was roasting canned meat over a broken shovel while Ghost cleaned his rifle beside the flames. Doc had been telling some stupid story about his university days before the war, laughing in that nervous way of his, while sparks from the fire floated up into the cold sky like tiny stars. You remember thinking that night felt almost normal? Like the world hadn't completely lost its mind yet. Now, Hammer is dead somewhere in the forest. Ghost is probably lying in the mud where the mortar hit. And Doc? Doc is bleeding out in a bunker behind enemy lines while asking you to finish the mission that killed the rest of your squad. The wind whistles through the broken ceiling above you, dragging cold air across the concrete floor. Somewhere outside, an enemy patrol shouts to each other in the distance. Too close. Doc presses the beacon into your hand. His grip is weaker now.
You were a mechanic,
he whispers. You know how machines work?
Your throat tightens.
Yeah,
you say quietly.
He smiles faintly, though the pain in his eyes is obvious. Then, you know when a broken part needs replacing? The words hit harder than any explosion you've heard tonight. You stand slowly, slinging your rifle over your shoulder while the beacon burns cold in your palm. Your boots scrape softly against the bunker floor as you move toward the doorway. Every step feels heavier than the last. Behind you, Doc exhales slowly.
Hey!
He calls weakly. You stop at the doorway but don't turn around.
Tell my sister.
He begins, then pauses. Realizing how stupid that sentence sounds in the middle of a battlefield no one is supposed to survive. Instead, he just says,
Finish it.
You nod once and step into the night. The forest outside is darker now, clouds sliding across the moon like bruised shadows. Snow crunches quietly beneath your boots as you climb the ridge behind the bunker. Your breathing stays controlled even though your heart feels like it might rip through your chest. The higher you climb, the clearer the sounds become, metal clanging, engines rumbling, voices shouting orders. Then you see them. The enemy artillery battery spread across the clearing beyond the ridge. 6 massive cannons dug into the frozen earth, their long barrels angled toward the distant front line. Trucks and ammunition crates scattered around the position, soldiers moving between them under dim red lights, preparing the next barrage. The guns fire again. The blast slams through your chest like a physical utter, heat rippling through the cold air while the shells scream across the sky toward your country's cities, toward homes, toward people who have no idea a soldier is lying in the dirt above this ridge, deciding whether those guns live or die. You crawl closer, keeping low beneath the broken branches until the clearing lies fully below you. Your fingers tighten around the beacon. Plant it here. That's all it takes. Within 20 minutes, bombers will arrive screaming out of the night sky. Precision missiles will turn the entire battery into a burning crater. You glance back toward the bunker hidden in the trees behind you. Doc is still there, still breathing. Maybe your chest aches with the weight of the choice, but your hands move anyway. You dig the beacon into the frozen soil beside the ridge and activate the transmitter. A faint green light begins blinking slowly. Target marked.
The war machine has its coordinates now.
You lie there for a moment watching the artillery crews below, unaware that death has already found them. Strange calm settles over you. The kind soldiers feel when the decision has already been made and nothing left can change it. Then you hear something behind you. A voice. Don't move. Cold metal presses against the back of your helmet. Your body freezes instantly. You glance sideways and see the shape of an enemy soldier standing over you, rifle aimed at your head. His breath drifts into the cold air as he studies you with a mixture of curiosity and hatred. He must have followed your tracks up the ridge.
Your rifle lies a few feet away in the snow.
Too far to reach. The soldier gestures with his weapon.
Stand up.
You rise slowly.
Hands lifted. The artillery battery continues firing below, completely unaware of what's about to happen. The soldier's eyes flick toward the blinking beacon buried in the ground. His expression tightens immediately as he realizes what it means. Airstrike. His finger tightens on the trigger. For a moment, you both just stare at each other in silence while the wind sweeps across the ridge. Then, something strange happens. The soldier suddenly laughs. Not a cruel laugh. A tired one. He lowers the rifle slightly and mutters something under his breath in his own language before shaking his head. You're both already dead? He says quietly. You don't understand what he means at first. Then the sky above the forest begins to roar.
Jets!
Fast. Too fast. But they're not coming toward the artillery battery. They're flying toward the ridge, toward the bunker.
Your stomach drops?
Because the beacon you planted didn't mark the artillery guns.
It marked your position.
The coordinates Doc gave you were wrong, and somewhere behind you in that ruined bunker, your last surviving teammate is still lying on the floor as the war machine comes screaming out of the sky.